Hi everybody, this is Cindy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome back to our channel. Today I have a quick, easy project for you that I would like to share. And this is just a small 4 inches by 6 inch traveler's notebook insert. So this is the size that I made, but it's such a simple project. I'm sure without any difficulty you could change the dimensions for your needs. Or if you wanted to put this in a junk journal, very simple to change the construction. So you can see here it's just like a little wallet with an accordion pocket to put like coupons or receipts in. A couple of pockets here. You could put like this one. I just stuck a gift card in there. I grabbed one from my wallet. And I'm going to put this in a traveler's notebook that I'm kind of working on right now for some Christmas presents and some things for our Etsy shop. And so I thought I would just share how I made this, and hopefully it'll go okay. I made this morning at about 6 o'clock. The cat wanted breakfast, and so I got up to feed her and had about an hour before I had to get ready for work. So it was quick and it was easy, and hopefully I'll be able to replicate it. So what you need is just one piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, double-sided, and if it all works out, this is all you'll have left over, just a couple of little scraps. So let me grab a paper pad here. I decided I wanted to do a Tim Holtz traveler's notebook, so well, let's see what I have in here that looks fun. It all looks fun. But you know, some of these maybe wouldn't work as well because of the dimensions, and I wouldn't want to cut them in weird places. So this is fun. Typewriters. Yeah, let's go ahead and use this one. I like old typewriters. So what you need to do is cut a couple of pieces, and I'll give you the dimensions as I grab my paper cutter. And first you need a 10 by 6 inch piece, and 6 inches is the height, so I have this turned to the side so that I have it going the right direction when I start constructing. So now this is 10, this is 6 by 12. I need to, oh, it's hard to decide which end to trim off. This is going to be the flap, and so I kind of want to leave those numbers on the flap because they're fun. So I'm going to trim off 2 inches. And I'll be using that for something later, so I'll just put this over here. And then I need a piece that is 4 by 6, and oh boy, the 6 inch also being the height, and I think I want this to be my pocket. And so that's really the basic construction, is just these 2 pieces, and everything else is for for some reinforcement for a couple of little pockets, and the gusset for the big pocket. Well, now that I told you to cut a 10 by 6 and a 4 by 6, I should have done this already or told you this already, kind of for to make it easier to fold. You're going to want to trim off maybe just a scant little piece, not even, you know, 1/16 of an inch, just a tiny little sliver off of both pieces, because it'll make it a little easier to to fold or close once it's folded. You also need, for the accordions on the gusset, you need 2 pieces of 4 inches by 2 inches. So let's see. I'm going to cut it this way so I can keep this piece intact, and then cut, trying to decide which I like better, and I like this piece better, and so these aren't going to be visible, so I'll cut those from this kind of plain little piece. So then I have these pieces left over for my pockets and whatnots, and I think that's all the cutting I need to do right now. So I'm going to replace my cutter with my scoreboard, and this piece is fine the way it is. It doesn't need to be scored. For the gusset, you're going to need to trim, or you're going to need to score both of these pieces on the 1/2 inches. So on 1/2 inch, whoops, my finger's out of the way, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1.5 inch. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch. So when you fold it, it will fold, you want to fold it like a W. And that will give us nice gussets on each side of that pocket. So fold them like a W. I'll put those to the side. And then on this piece, you're going to have to make a couple of different scores, and so this is going to be the flap, so you'll want to cut on the 1.5 inch, and that will be the flap. And then on the 5.5, and that should, and 5.5 and the 6. So that was 1.5, which is the flap, and then the 5.5, which is basically the back, and the 6, which gives us that 1/2 inch for our pocket, and then that's our front, hopefully. So when we fold it, this is my front, and then there's my pocket, 1/2 inch, and then when I fold this, there's my flap. So that's what it will look like, and I don't think I need this again, so put that away. So I am going to because I'm putting this in my in a traveler's notebook, I want to notch the ends, and I'm going to use this envelope notcher, and I'll do that separately. I'm going to use the quarter rounder on that one. And so I'm going to go in, and it's really hard to see on this paper. I did not pick a good paper for this to make sure it's even. And I'm just going to put the notch there. If you don't have one of these, go ahead and just you know, you can just snip, fold it and snip, and yeah, this is really not good paper to see where my lines are, but I think it's okay. So then I'm going to reinforce. Well, I should have reinforced it before I did that. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch by 6 inch and reinforce this just to give it a little more stability on, actually I have a piece already here of another pattern. I'm going to go ahead and use that and then kind of re-notch it. So this is 6 inch by 1/2 inch. And if your paper is pretty sturdy, or you're using something like a file folder maybe, you probably don't need to reinforce it, but I would rather err on the side of caution than put it in a traveler's notebook and have the elastic kind of smush it. You know, that's the technical term, smush. So I'm just going to slip that in there, and I'll have to go back in and re-notch. But it'll be easier to see this time with that on there. So there we go. A little trim on this one. I'm sure this won't happen to you, but I didn't get that quite evened up, so it was a little piece sticking up there. So obviously don't do what I do what I say. Put glue that if you need to reinforce your fold there, put the paper on before you notch it. All right, so there's my fold. I also want to reinforce the flap, I think. I'll give it a little more stability, and I'm going to just use this piece of scrap here, and I need to take a 1/2 inch off of that. So remember, the flap is, excuse me, Lizzie, the flap is 1.5 inches, and so this is a 2-inch scrap, so I'll leave that typewriter on there, a 1/2 inch off, and should be 6 inches. See, look at that. That would have been perfect right there in the spine. And I'm going to glue that down and then round the corners. I'm going to glue it this way, actually. This is my cat, Lizzie. She likes to go to school, so she's learning crafts today. Can't tell. This is a new bottle, brand new bottle, but it's kind of oozing already. And I'm going to put it this direction. Make sure that's aligned. I don't want it sticking out at the end there. Oops, I got a little glue on there. I think I mentioned pretty much in every tutorial, if you don't have one of these glue erasers, you should get one because they're pretty amazing. All right. And corner rounder, I'm going to just give these a little snip. So we're getting there, getting there. Kind of slipped just a little bit. I want to make sure it's on there well and lined up correctly. All right, so our next step is our pocket, and so this is the pocket and then our gussets, and I want to notch this, so just a little notch on there and just eyeball it. And I'm going to put that here. So I did discover that if you round the corners on the bottom, basically what's the bottom of the pocket, it works out perfectly with those notches. So that'll fit perfectly in there. So that was pretty exciting for me this morning when I discovered that. Of course, like I said, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. So then you need to glue your little accordion folded paper onto each side, and when you glue it on, you want to have the fold side facing out, and so that'll just be glued on here. And but I also discovered this also needs to be trimmed, rounded, and I don't know if it's that I'm not strong enough or my paper cutter's not strong enough, but I couldn't get it to trim. But Lizzie, it actually scored it well enough that I can just follow the score line that it made, and it makes a perfect perfect cut. And if I need to like I'll need to trim just a little bit, that's okay, that's not a big deal. I hope everybody's doing okay today. Fall was here, and now summer's back. It's in the mid-80s today, and I don't have my haven't had my air conditioner on for a couple of weeks because it has been getting pretty chilly at night, and then beautiful during the day, and then today the heat came back, and it's a little toasty. Trim that edge, and so this is what you've got, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with the fold on to the outside. And that's also going to need just a little trim to make sure that the bottom is rounded like the rest of the pocket. I don't know, maybe you're stronger than I am, or you have a better corner rounder and you don't and you can use your corner rounder for that. I don't know, but all right, so now here is where you need to make a decision. And if you like the look of the sewing, and you want to sew your edges around the outside, you can either sew the whole thing, sew this now, or you can sew it after you put this on, and just then slide it over and then sew here, and then on the other side slide it over and sew it here. So I don't think I'm going to sew this one, and I am going to glue then. Whoops. The pocket down, and I'm going to glue the sides first and then go back and then glue the bottom. I don't want to do the whole thing at one time because it'll make it a little harder to put it, or to keep it from getting, you know, kind of gunky and gluey. So I'm going to put that there, make sure it's right on the edge, and the same on the other side. You know, if you want to ink, you know, if you're doing something that is you know, kind of vintage looking, well, you know, like this paper is very vintage looking. If I wanted to make it a little more vintagey, I could ink it, and you know, you probably would want to do that before you started gluing everything together. All right. So I think that's on pretty well. And now I'm going to just go in and put a little bead of glue all the way across the bottom. Just you want it to be heavy enough that it's enough glue, but light enough that it doesn't squish out and make a mess, and make your pocket even, you know, make your pocket smaller. So you might have to hold that on a little bit, hold it down. Side kind of slipped a little bit there too. So you have a nice sized pocket. You can put a lot of stuff in there. And I think it's holding pretty well. And I always like to make sure that I didn't have any seepage on the inside so it's sticking together. Try to make sure that it's all good. All right. So there's our basic construction. It's folded pretty well. And so then the last thing is the closure, and on my example I used Velcro, and this is kind of a mess because they're all on one long strip. Both the one side, the soft side, and the barbed side are all on the same strip. So and when I put them on, I always Velcro them together so that I know they're going to line up, and I'm going to put it on the flap and then fold it over, and there we go. And on this one, the clear side, I have where you're going to see it, more likely to see it here. So it just folds over, and we have that. And so now the last thing here is our little pockets. And I have a couple of pieces here that would work. I just need to, oh, there it is. I didn't put it away. My small paper cutter. And this is 4 inches, so I'm just going to cut it into 2. And it's probably 4 inches wide, so I need to trim it probably a 1/2 inch or so. So that gives me 2 pockets there. And I want to notch those as well, so I'm going to use a smaller circle punch, and I'm going to do them at the same time so that the notches, even if they're in the wrong spot, at least they're in the same spot so they don't look uneven. And I'll just eyeball it a little bit here. And I'm not going to put a gusset on either of these, and I'm going to use Fabri-Tac for these as well, but this has a finer tip, and I want to make sure these pockets are wider. Because they're so small, I want to make sure that I have as much room for whatever I put in them as possible. Although I see I have kind of a mess. It's kind of oozing out of the tip there. And you know, if you don't want to put 2 small pockets here on this side, you could do you know, an envelope or a 1 large pocket. You know, the possibilities are endless. Lots of different things you can do here, but I'm just going to do 2 small pockets. It's a little crooked. Can't. I've got so much glue on my fingers I can't tell if there's glue on the paper or if it's just my fingers are such a mess. I try to be so careful, and I still always wind up with glue everywhere. So that's it for this project. You know, if you wanted to, you could put you know, another gusset on the bottom so the whole thing opens all the way up, but I don't think it needs it. And but you know, if you want to give it a try, you know, a little different way, that is fine too. I just wanted to share what I did this morning. Yeah, my cat just likes her breakfast early, so instead of going back to bed, I usually use that time for reading or for crafting. So there we go, a little insert for a traveler's notebook. I've changed the dimensions. You could put it in a junk journal or a planner, or you know, whatever you need. So that's it. Thank you for joining me today, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. We love our subscribers so much. Give me a thumbs up. Comment would be nice, and I think that's it. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic week, and we'll be back with more. I think Betsy will have a tutorial later this week, and I have 2 already planned for next week. So lots of content coming up. So Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.